All right. Well, good morning and welcome to the Future World Sports Network. I'm Tony Esposito and my co-host is
Jennifer Esposito.
And this is Love, Life, and Learning, Expanding Your Mind with the Espositos. Thank you for tuning in. We have a very special episode for you today. We are celebrating my 53rd birthday and our
14th wedding anniversary.
14th wedding anniversary. But how long have we been together, darling?
22 years.
22 years. They haven't all been blissful, but we're going to teach you guys how to get to where we are today. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. But first and foremost, we're going to talk about how we've gotten to where we are. Me and my wife, we met in Brooklyn, New York. We came from Brooklyn, New York. I was a pro shop operator, and my wife was
a senior in high school when I first met him.
When we first met, she was a senior in high school. I waited till she was 21. She worked at the bowling alley where I had my pro shop.
While I was going to nursing school.
While you were going to nursing school. And Jennifer, you became?
A registered nurse.
A registered nurse and went on to be?
Well, I'm currently now a nurse anesthetist, and I have been for the last 15 years. But in 2005, my desire to go to ODU to become one was what brought us down here.
Correct. So we moved down here in 2005. We were on student loans, credit card debt. I had no vehicle. I think the year after that, I was riding a 50cc scooter.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's been a long journey. When people see where we're at now, they wonder, they like to emulate. But let me tell you something, it's been hard work. I'm 53 years old. Jennifer's 10 years younger than me. And communication and hard work is what's kept us together. And we've had some windfalls. We've had some downfalls. We have a beautiful daughter. Her name is Isabella. And she's 7.5 years old, and boy, does she keep us on our toes, doesn't she?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We're staying at the Cavalier to celebrate our annual anniversary and birthday. It gives us an excuse to kind of splurge and just go all out. So she loves jumping on the bed. That's her favorite activity. And now,
yeah, we're having a staycation right now, and we're filming this first episode to get you guys up to speed. We are going to have guests on the future episodes. We're going to be talking about a whole lot of different topics. We're going to take suggestions from the audience. If anybody has questions they'd like to ask us or suggestions. But what I'd like to first start out with is when we moved down here, we had only a small network of friends. We only had about 2 or 3 people we knew down here. Jennifer had gotten accepted to Old Dominion University, and I became a stay-at-home kind of person to take care of the house while Jennifer studied and became the best that she could be in her field. I happen to be a cannabis personality. I'm also a classically trained chef. I'm also a vendor. I'm also an advocate for this plant that we're smoking. We're smoking a Doink, which is my product. And I actually spoke on city council the other night, but I'm not going to lie to everybody. It was less than optimistic for me. They only let me speak for 3 minutes. I did get to meet the mayor, but I'm not going to lie to you. We need to make some changes, and we need to make some changes in a very fast and expedited way. I feel that this plant, as everybody knows, from 1930 was made illegal, and we need to work towards a complete legalization and a complete acceptance and a complete normalcy. Is there anything you would like to talk about, Jen?
Well, along those lines, in order to normalize the plant, with my medical background and some colleagues, we definitely plan to introduce some new information to all of you. Part of our mission is to really educate people on the medicinal uses and properties of the plant. In addition, psychedelics, microdosing with mushrooms.
How do you pronounce the word?
Psilocybin.
Psilocybin, basically mushrooms. It's been shown that we all have a pineal gland, and throughout environment, they basically try to calcify us. And by microdosing, you can open up that pineal gland and you can see things from a different level. Right now, me and my wife are on a very high vibration. We're very high frequency, high vibration people, and we attract energy. And it took a long time for us to learn those skills. And it's something we'll talk about on the show as well.
Also along those lines, we really need to break the barriers with politicians locally and statewide. And by Tony attending the city council meeting, that's just the first step. we as a community, more representatives need to be in their face. We need to be talking with them one-on-one. Once they understand, we really need to take cannabis out of the political arena. It needs to not be a political issue anymore. If we can break down those barriers and really show how it can help and serve society in a medicinal way, only then can we take away the left-right issue. You know what I'm saying? People who are pro-cannabis versus anti-cannabis. So if it's just one of those medical options that are available, like your Prozac, like your Lucinta, like your other antidepressants that are out there, this is an antidepressant.
It's
that
also an anti-inflammatory as well.
Right. I work with a surgeon who does plastic surgery who said he has at least a handful of patients who only used cannabis in the post-operative period.
There's something to be said about that, okay?
For anti-inflammatory, and therefore that's all they needed for their pain control. No narcotics. There are bad effects to taking narcotics. People need to know the difference between the two and how it affects the body. Oh, why don't I feel good? There are reasons why people don't feel good, and usually it's a nutritional cause. So we really want to enlighten people.
Or supplemental.
Right. We really want to bring education to people and help them live on a higher frequency and vibration also. And then collectively, we can raise the energy field for everybody.
That's very well said. Here,
thank you.
Take a doink. So the way to do that, when Jennifer said learning and understanding, there's a very big stigma. Now, I'm 53 years old, so I kind of feel like I'm an exception to the rule. But like all the people, with the exception of a few people on that city council, I would consider senior citizens over 65 years old. They have ingrained in their mind, just like my mom and dad, may they rest in peace, that this plant, this compound was not good. Okay? And that happened because of a propaganda campaign that happened back in the day. What we need to understand is that the government is looking to make money, the city is looking to make money, and they are trying to find the best way to, I guess, tax this plant. The problem with that is every state seems to be following a different, if you want to say, business plan when it comes to cannabis. But nobody has gotten it right yet, I feel. Nobody's gotten it right from the get-go. Michigan happens to have, and I just recently found this out, they have a caregiver system. Anybody who is qualified can fill out some documentation, and I guess a background check is put in, and they fill this out with the city ordinance or city government, and they're allowed to care for 5 patients. And by doing so, they're allowed to grow a certain amount of plants for those 5 patients. I think this caregiver system is immensely important because there are some people out there that don't want to go to a dispensary. And let's face it, the dispensaries that are open right now, especially in Virginia Beach where we come from, you cannot view the plant, you cannot smell the plant, you cannot ask an opinion about the plant because the people that work there have no opinion on the plant. The same way when I spoke on city council, I believe all these people had their mind made up. They were voting on a task force. What did that task force consist of? I'm not really sure because we weren't allowed to ask questions and they weren't actually allowed to respond to anything. But at the beginning of the meeting, the mayors said so emphatically, this is your meeting. This meeting is for the citizens. Well, if the meeting is for the citizens, why has I only got 3 minutes to speak? I got cut off by the mayor. Thank you. 3 minutes. Thank you. It's just really ridiculous. And so when Jennifer says we have to create or get rid of this stigma, it has to happen on that level. This has been used as a political pawn between the Democrats and the Republicans for eons now. Republicans don't really want to vote for cannabis. Democrats want to vote for cannabis. So, it, like Jennifer said, it needs to be
that as a tool
as
for
a tool
votes.
for demographic and for getting votes. Now, what we need to do is get, like Jennifer said, get that issue off the political table. It needs to be normalized to the point where none of them, not Republicans, Democrats, liberal, conservatives, can use this topic as a platform for votes. It shouldn't be. The plant should never have been made illegal, let alone be on the, was it on the class 1? Class 1. This is a plant.
Which is equivalent to what cocaine is on, I think.
Correct. Or heroin or something like that. So in that aspect.
Well, I can definitely get access to that information so we can verify.
Right.
And be sure.
The fact that Jennifer has both ends of the spectrum, because I've been involved with this plant for a very long time. Like I said, I'm also a classically trained chef, so infusions, people who need to eat instead of smoke or incinerate, I can provide that for them. But basically, by Jennifer having both ends of the spectrum, seeing firsthand what narcotics do and how addictive they can be, and propofol, which seems to be a very thing that's in the news lately, right? Fentanyl, you know, and these kind of drugs have their place, but they shouldn't be in mainstream everyday society. We shouldn't be hearing about people lacing things with fentanyl. It shouldn't be happening.
Well, some of that is coming over the border intentionally to harm our society.
That's probably absolutely
correct.
That's another issue altogether.
Right.
So let's I guess go ahead.
While we were on that subject, what I wanted to bring up is, again, the stigma that cannabis makes one lazy or stupid or unmotivated. Well, I've been smoking since I'm 18, and I managed to get through graduate school with a 4.0 GPA. So how does that
my
happen?
wife graduated top of her class. And you wanna categorize people? I've been messing with this plant since I'm 14 years old, and I'm not ashamed of that. Okay, the problem is the stigma that's put on it. People have a stereotype. We used to have the campaigns, the commercials when we were kids.
Say no.
This is your drugs.
No,
I mean, this is your brain, right? The frying pan, and then you drop the egg on it, and this is your brain on drugs. The problem is they categorize marijuana and cannabis and hemp into that category, and it's not the case. It's not the case.
God's medicine. It was put here on earth for us.
It's the truth. It's the truth. So let's move to another topic, I guess we could speak of. What would you like to speak of? You have anything you'd like to bring up? You want to bring up entertainment and how the city down by the ocean front is really starting to develop, and there's some beautiful things, and we got, because let's face it, we've been to Amsterdam many times. Me and my wife have had the privilege of traveling to Europe, and Amsterdam is a pretty wild place. They have a lot of coffee shops, and they have a lot of, I guess you would say, traveler-based interest in cannabis, right? I mean, their network of, what's the word I'm looking for? Tourism. I'm sorry. Thank you, darling. Tourism. Their tourism is kind of based around the person that wants to experience things. And I'm not saying our city needs to be like that or our 7 cities need to be like that, but there's a lounge down by the ocean front called Pocololo's Lounge. And there's, I believe, the CCC Cafe. And I believe at one time we had a place on Virginia Beach Boulevard called the Queen's Greens, which basically these are private clubs. You pay a membership fee. You can go in and you can consume your products in those. I believe we need to have an open arena for that. I believe that most people are going to find that, why should I have to pay a private entity to go and smoke my own product? So that doesn't lead to increased tourism. The people down at the oceanfront are afraid that this plan is somehow going to diminish tourism, correct? Would you say?
Diminish it, or I guess maybe taint it because of the stigma of drugs.
Right.
But
We've had many events down by the ocean.
It's all your perspective.
It's your perspective. That's correct. We've had many events down by the ocean front. I'm also one of the co-founders of the VCCSB, which is the Virginia Coalition for Cannabis and Small Business. And we had a monumental event at the Cavalier. I don't remember, in May. We had 150 people, standing room only. Never happened at the Cavalier before. All people from the community, old, young, black, white, yellow, orange, whatever you want to say. The demographics of the people that I have met along the lines of this plant, this journey, right? This one thing we all have in common. In New York City, I just want to segue a minute. In New York City, the day I spoke to City Council, you know what they were doing in New York City? New York City was having the biggest music festival they've ever had, and it was called Legacy for Legitimacy. Legacy for Legality, I'm sorry. So they had an entire party about legalizing this plant. Cops in New York City no longer have to take a THC test. So why is it that we all live in the same state, but that imaginary line that separates us, by states, the whole idea of this plant is different, or the whole idea of freedoms are different. And I just don't understand why we can't come together as a society. Let's forget about government for a second. If government legalizes federally, don't make any mistake about it. They're going to have their hand in things, okay? And I'm going to segue again. And with Bill Gates out there buying all of the farmland available, which he has made it perfectly clear that he is for population control, I don't trust him at all. And from my understanding, I think I read somewhere he became the biggest cannabis farmer in the entire country because he's planting a lot of those acres with cannabis.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure. We could check on that, though. We're going to need a fact checker soon on this show, but it's all good. So, yeah, so that's where we're at. As far as our love goes, we cherish each other. We believe that communication and trying to work things out, that doesn't mean that we never fight. That doesn't mean we don't have doozies of fights. But there's one thing that I truly believe, and that this woman will always be there for me, and she knows I will always be there for her, and our daughter knows we will always be there for her. In society nowadays, I feel relationships are too disposable, especially when you look towards Hollywood. And these people in our society that look to these people and emulate them, and they don't live a pure lifestyle. They don't have a love that is deep enough for them to sacrifice each other's ego so that people can stay together. Would you believe that?
I definitely believe that.
I mean, even in our family, we don't have many aunts and uncles that are on their first marriage either, correct?
Say that's correct.
Okay. Even in my family, not my mother and father. My mother and father stayed together till the end. And like I said, there's something to be said about a family unit. Having a mom and dad available, to you. Even if it's a bad mom and dad, because I'm not going to lie, we weren't always the best parents. But it's a learning process. This is a journey. This is not a one-day thing. People say, they're always so eager to get somewhere. It's not a race. Life is not a race. It's a freaking marathon. And the best way to get through it is to pace yourself, communicate, and try to work out things. Like they have a show on this network, Future World Sports Network, by the way, Clear the Air. Communication will go such a long way in society instead of this bullshit that everybody is so engrossed in their phones or Instagram and stuff. And I understand it has a place, but nothing changes the place of sitting down with somebody, maybe taking off your glasses, looking them in the eye, and just discussing, right?
Well, I'm going to be very straight with all of you. I'm going to really hold you to that high standard since we are publicly talking about our relationship, because my significant other has a very strong temper.
I do.
And he needs to work on it.
I do.
While he does have a genuinely soft heart, and the love for his family is undoubtable, unquestionable.
Undeniable.
Undeniable. Thank you. Thank you. That's the better word.
The best thing about us is we finish each other's sentences.
Yeah. We sometimes are able to read each other's minds.
Yeah, we can read each other.
For sure.
But that comes with years.
There are some days that are definitely hard. When you first start out in a relationship, you're like, either you love somebody, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to spend every minute of my life with this person. Or it's not right, and you eventually separate. We've been on this journey a long time. Hey, let me finish.
You got it. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I also
talk over people.
Cuts off, and that drives me nuts. Drives me crazy.
It's the truth. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because then I lose my train of thought.
Yeah,
and
don't
then it's
segue.
even harder to get my thoughts
Get back on
but
track.
Anyway, so, yes. This is what's going to help our relationship, actually, because I'm going to hold him to that high standard, because if he messes up during the week, I'm going to report it to you all.
This is going to be therapy for us. This is the best therapy because
so we're gonna make
because
this really
the audience is going to be our therapist.
Yeah.
So they're going to know for sure.
It's going to be really fun.
It's going to be fun.
And I have to tell you, we've lived here for 18 years.
We have.
And I finally feel home here. Like, I really feel at home. Like, we really missed New York for a lot of years that we were down here. And we were just still trying to find a way to get back up there. Like, oh, can we just be a little closer? Because there's nothing like being able to hop on a train and get into the city within 30 minutes or an hour, and then you're there, like where everything is happening and the energy is electric and you just feel amazing.
New York City's a place.
But then after COVID, so many things have changed. And honestly, we haven't been up there I haven't been there since 2019 Thanksgiving.
Well, we haven't been there together.
We haven't been there together. He went to Queens a few weeks ago for something else, which he can talk about after I'm finished, if he'd like. But anyhow, so 2019. So it's been a long time. So I'm actually
feeling at home, you said.
Right, feeling at home here. And the cannabis community has been very welcoming. And like I said, it's one of all walks of life that we have this one thing in common. And I have never felt so much love from a group of people so quickly, and people like willing to help one another. Genuine love and care. And in that, I happen to meet a girl by the name of Rayana. She is High Class Exotics?
Yes, she's also a Reiki master.
Right. She happens to be a Reiki master, but when I happen to meet her at a concert on the beach, we happen to talk about Reiki, and she said, oh, well, my mom has a center down by the beach, which is, the Reiki Wellness and Meditation Center, I believe is what it's called. Trinae, fantastic woman. And so that also has changed my life.
Jennifer's now becoming,
I'm
on that
certified
journey.
Reiki 1, so that's another piece of the journey now. So between doing this show, practicing Reiki, just trying to stay grounded and enjoy life for all it is right now, because let's face it, it's really changing fast, because this man right here and these doinks are just blowing up.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago,
for those who don't know, I got tapped in to be a judge at the Organic Cup in Queens, New York. And it was a whirlwind of things that happened for me, for us, for this community. I basically judged a flower, 45 different strains. I did my due diligence. I was the last judge finished. And I actually picked the Cannabis Cup winner. Well, along those lines, I brought products with me, and one of my products is this hand-rolled, you want to call them cannagars, you want to call them hash holes, I call them doinks. Basically, this one happens to be 3 grams of flour with a whole gram of hash rosin in the center of it. So I was showing these around, and one of the vendors said to me, oh, you rolled that with a machine, you rolled it with a bamboo tray, and, I said, the fuck I did. I said, I roll these by hand. I said, I'll bet you 100 doink collaborative deal that I'll roll you a doink that you'll love. Give me 3 grams of your best flour. I'll put a gram of my rosin. His boy watched me. They brought a camera crew. It was crazy. I mean, I might have talked about this a little bit on the I Support show. But, yeah, so now I got all these opportunities.
He's in the circle of judging.
Yeah,
these
so
cups.
now I'm got tapped in. I'm going to be going in November to Michigan, and I'm going to be judging the Organic Cup in Michigan. And my doinks, without their label, they're going to be naked, are getting entered into that cup. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. That has led to a plethora of opportunities and a plethora of opportunities to bring some great products and great people to Virginia Beach and just keep expanding on that network of beautiful people. There is a company out there called the Equal Humans Movement, which is very much connected to now a very good friend of mine, Michael Fang, and the Organic Cup. He's one of the people that has been the founder of the Organic Cup and the Third Eye Gathering, and I am so honored to be aligned with the Fang Gang and Cousin Nikolai. Can't wait to see you guys again soon. So I don't know how long we're supposed to be talking on this show and how much time we've been talking, because we can talk a lot, me and Jennifer, and we can just go on and on. But as they say, always keep them wanting more. So with that being said, it's our Friday. Our daughter's at school, and we got to decide on something special to do. So I have a few ideas for me and my wife. So with that being said, I'm going to say adieu. I'm going to thank you the Future World Sports Network. I want to thank Christian Love and everybody involved. And we hope to see you guys soon. All right?
Bye.
Peace.
Have a great weekend.